You're good? Yeah. And everybody stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. Turn it over to Mr. O'Keefe.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Madam President. I just have a brief comments to make. I just want to thank the community for the tremendous support throughout this budget process. Obviously, this was an unprecedented year. Everything about it is very different than what we're accustomed to. And, we were made to do a budget through an absentee ballot. There were fears that, people wouldn't necessarily respond, and the community came out in complete and total support of the school budget, as well as our second proposition, which includes incredible capital projects next year for the district. So I just want to make sure to thank everybody. Other than that, normally we would have our retirees here in our last meeting, excuse me, for the year. But unfortunately, they can't join us. But I'd like to give the floor to Ms. Kate Eden to say a few words for our retirees this year.
Thank you. On behalf of the Superintendent of Schools, Board of Education, and the entire staff and all of our community, we'd like to recognize our retirees this year. There is a host of different positions that people have filled and fulfilled over the course of the many years here that they've dedicated their lives and their time and their careers here in Sachem to the students and the families. Our children and students have had excellent teachers, bus drivers, principals, clerical, custodians, security, and Sachem has many oars in the water. And in order to make sure that our ship sails smoothly, we have to make sure that our staff are second to none. So with that in mind, I just want to read and recognize a few names here. There are 47 retirees, which are from July 1st of 2019 through June of 2020. Some retirees are just a few days away. And with that in mind, I'd like to start with Laura Amato, principal of Grundy, Pat Annunziato, nurse, Carol Berger, bus driver, Stephen Byer, technology teacher, Ellen Campbell, psychologist, Elizabeth Caputo, special education teacher, Deborah Costello, bus driver, Vinnie Clark, chief custodian, Lucianne Coffey, elementary teacher, Chris Cordella, physical education teacher, Michael Curran Jr., special education teacher assistant, Veronica Dam, special education teacher, Michael Delio, auto mechanic, Maria Devine, math teacher, Carol Dreyer, custodian, Norma Ejek, special education teacher, James Felica, groundsman, Nancy Fallier, clerical, John Finta, math teacher, Eileen Giordano, speech teacher, Michelle Gullah, office assistant, Dick Higgins, custodian, Cynthia Keck, special education teacher assistant, Karen Keller, confidential clerical, James Knox, roving garden security, Lenore Lounsbury, elementary teacher, Gail Mahoney, group leader in child care, Regina Rizarka Skarka, foreign language teacher, Eileen March, clerical, Karen Marrero, special education TA, Ellen Morrow, food service worker, Patricia McNeil, teacher assistant, Susan Morbiella, cook, Crystal Nardone, foreign language teacher, John Naiman, maintenance mechanic, Cindy Pantheros, driver pony messenger, Yolanda Pignataro, classroom aide, Colleen Plantier, science teacher, Roy Plum, recreation aide and child care, Barbara Raptis, special education teacher, Maria Rosada Pena, special education aide, David Sheehan, guidance counselor, Wendy Cyber, speech teacher, Susan Tuttle, director of student services, Wayne Wagner, custodian, Robin Welsh, speech teacher, and last but surely not least, Doreen Young, special education teacher. Thank you for your years of service and your time and all of the dedication to our students and our community. Congratulations on your retirement.
Thank you, Kristen. Moving on, visitors, suspension of public comment. May I please have a motion? Larry, second. Meredith, any questions? All in favor? Opposed, motion is carried. Number 3, budget results. Proposition 1, budget. May I please have a motion to accept? Alex, second Meredith. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed, motion is carried. B, Proposition 2, capital reserves utilization. May I please have a motion? Bill, second Jimmy. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed, motion is carried. C, candidate election to Sachem Central School District Board of Education. May I please have a motion?
Motion.
Alex, second Larry. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. I would just like to congratulate Jimmy for your re-election, Nan Crusoe, and congratulations, Mr. Rob Scavo and Mr. Matt Barrett. Congratulations. D, candidate election, Sachem Public Library Board of Trustees, motion. Larry, second Alex. Any questions? All in favor? Opposed, motion is carried.
Ms. Slattery, I'm sorry, you just have to go back to the approval of the minutes.
Oh, I'm
F.
sorry.
No, it's okay. In the first section, just one F.
Oh, okay. Approval of minutes, may I please have a motion? Alex, second. Meredith, any questions? All in favor? Opposed, motion is carried. So page 4, business items, consent agenda A through E. May I please have a motion? Alex, second. Larry, any questions? All in favor? Motion is carried. Go ahead, Dorothy.
Mr. O'Keefe, on page 5 for the disposal of the district property, that was for smart boards, is that correct?
Yeah, several dozen outdated smart boards. They're actually being replaced with new equipment as we speak.
So what do we do with the smart boards though when we dispose of them?
The new supplier is taking back the old equipment, so there's no charge for the disposal. Because most e-waste now is actually really costly to dispose of.
Okay. And then just going back to one other item, the business item as far as the TAN. I know I can say this every year, but just so you can explain to anyone that's listening really what a TAN is and
Sure.
why we do it every year.
Each year, school districts, we've just passed our budget. The voters do fund our tax levy, but we also know that we only pay taxes at certain times of the year. So the school year starts on July 1st. You pay your taxes in December. We don't start seeing that money until January. So our tax monies for the school year don't start coming in until January, and our state aid doesn't start coming in until fall. So we technically start the school year with no revenue for several months. So that TAN, or tax anticipation note, is basically like a line of credit. We borrow that money for the year. It won't be the $100 million. That's just the maximum authority the board is giving me. We're typically somewhere in the $50 million range. But that money front loads us for the beginning of the year and gives us the cash flow we need until we actually start receiving both state aid and tax payments. And then we repay those monies back in June of the following year.
Okay, I think we carried motion, right, Allison? So we're on page 7, F, purchasing bid item. May I please have a motion? Alex, second. Meredith, any questions? Jim?
Yeah, I will not be supporting the approval of this bid for the transportation services. You all, we've discussed it in exec, so we won't go over it here. We're not even allowed to go over it yet. However, I don't believe that one bid is sufficient. I think we should rebid it. I think we could have gotten others to bid on it. And I also don't agree with the proposal. Another thing I can't go into in open session, but I don't agree with the proposal either. So those are the two reasons I'm going to be voting no on this.
Thank you. Any other questions or discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Allison, you have that. Motion is carried. 5, personnel, consent agenda A through Q. May I please have a motion? Alex, second. Jimmy? Any questions? All in favor? One abstention, opposed. Motion is carried. We go to page 19. 6, personnel support staff, consent agenda A through H. May I please have a motion? Larry, second. Bill, any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Yeah. Oh,
Ms. Keeble is just going to recognize some tenure awardees at this time.
thank you.
I'm pleased to announce the appointment of tenure to 13 of our teacher assistants who are integral parts of our instructional team. They're there with our students, our staff, our teaching on a daily basis to make sure that students get what they need from a cosmetology or an academic intervention or special education perspective. The names of these teacher assistants receiving tenure at the fall of 2020 are Taylor Abram, Teresa Barfield, Lisa Borger, David Guinevere, Nicole DeMeo, Arlene Dessler, Stephanie DeAngelis, Melissa Efron, Colleen Hagenberg, Gina Hennigan, Greg Laurie, Bridget Siren, and Edna Torek. Congratulations to the teachers.
On page 22, personnel administrators, consent agenda A through I. May I please have a motion? Bill, second. Dorothy, any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. We're on page 24.
Madam President?
Yes, go
With
ahead.
that, yes, I'd just like to congratulate Dr. Morrow. Very bittersweet that he is leaving us. He's been an incredible asset to the district for many years, but we wish him well in his new adventure. So good luck.
Good luck. We're on page 24, approval of contract, deputy superintendent. May I please have a motion? Bill, second. Sarah, all in, questions? Go ahead, Mr. Kiernan.
I will not be supporting this as well, and I want to make sure that everybody understands this has absolutely nothing to do with the individual, Mr. O'Keefe. What it has to do with is the timing of this contract. I don't believe that we should be giving out a contract for deputy before we have a superintendent. And that's my personal feeling, and that's why I'll be voting no and nothing personal about O'Keefe.
Thank you very much. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Letter K, approval of contract, interim superintendent of schools. May I please have a motion? Jenny, second. Larry, any questions or comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Number 8, contracts, consent agenda A through Y. May I please have a motion? Dorothy, second. Alex, any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Page 32, 9, Committee on Special Education, consent A through B. May I please have a motion? Meredith, second. Alex, any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. 10, monthly reports, board committees. I don't really think there's anything at this time. Closing, we have board discussion items. The first is the letter denouncing racism. Mr. Clayton.
And the board had requested that I draft a letter which has been circulated and I believe met with the approval of all the members of the board. So if that is something they direct to be sent, I want to make sure they had a chance to review it, that it meets with their satisfaction, and so that directed it be sent and authorize the board president to sign it on your behalf.
Okay, does anybody have any questions or concerns? All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Then B, the letter to the governor regarding graduation.
Similarly, and I'm not sure that the draft has been to approval, but my understanding is that the board wants to send that letter out and would be approving that letter to them.
Okay, so you'll send a draft to everybody so they can approve it?
Yep.
And again, it's a letter to the governor requesting in-person graduation for our seniors. Yes.
Do we have to approve that in open session before we read it, or is that something that we can approve?
You could authorize that the board president sign on behalf of the board making that request. And we can send that draft around so that everyone.
Just the time.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Right, exactly.
Can you just repeat that?
So you could authorize that the board president sign a letter drafted by council, which is reviewed by the board, circulated to everybody. I'll comment on it.
It doesn't have to then come back to.
I would, if you give the authority now, subject to your review and approval, or subject. to
Okay, just one question to the president. Does that have to be 9-0 and approved if it's going to go out as a board document?
The majority would authorize that to be sent, but if you don't want it, and that would be, the complication would be typically the board president would be signing on behalf of the board. If you didn't want it to be, then maybe you'd have the signature lines of people who did approve it.
I don't want to complicate matters, but I'm just wondering if somebody, and I haven't seen the letter, so obviously I don't know what it's going to say, but let's suppose I was vehemently opposed to it. How do I then get that opposition?
So
No.
we have the names listed out on it? Is this where that comes from?
Yeah, and then also you can, subject to the final review of all the board members, it won't go out until everybody says it's okay. Authorize the board to sign it, subject to the review and final.
But if it's an 8-1 vote, we get around that by having each approving member's name on the letter.
Of course, and then somebody could decline to sign
So
it,
that solves that problem.
of course. I'm just trying to make it easier.
Okay, is everybody good with that?
Yes.
Okay, and then the last is the letter to the governor regarding school reopening in September, that we want our kids in school. And again, Chris has to draft that. And that would be circulated to the board similarly to what we just discussed.
Correct.
Is everybody good with that? Okay, anybody have any future agenda items? On the diversity task force.
Diversity task force, we'd like to discuss the making of a diversity task force.
Okay.
That's hard.
No, I just know Sarah Merrill. Thank you, Mary. Okay, so I will put that for a future agenda item. Yes.
As far as future discussion, and Mr. O'Keefe, I know you've gotten a lot of emails about September and what Sachem is going to look like in September, but as it stands now, we don't really have clear direction from the governor, so I don't know if you want to just update the community on that.
Yeah, right now, if you've been following along with what the governor's doing, the Board of Regents are actually having regional meetings all around the state right now. Our regional meeting is not until the 24th of next week. The odd thing about it is there's already been word out that we're supposed to have our finalized plan in the portal by July 15th. But we're also hearing that we're not going to get the feedback from the regents until about July 15th. So I'm sure that timeline will move again. But once we get that initial template from them, using that template and other CDC guidelines, Ms. Hines, myself, and Ms. Gabeline will have district task force that will kick off later this month. We'll have stakeholders from each group. We'll start going through that and see how that template can be modified and work for safety. It'll be a work in progress over the next few weeks.
Okay, our next meeting will be on July 1st at 7:30. And I'd just like to take this opportunity, Ms. Roberts, on behalf of the board, thank you for your 9 years of service, and we appreciate everything. So that's from all of us. When we,
So I just wanted to thank everybody, and especially to thank the community. It really has been an honor and a privilege to serve the board. It's been 9 years, 3 terms, but I can tell you, I've worked with some incredible people, some, amazing administrators, educators, staff, faculty, even the student reps that we've had here are outstanding. Teachers. So, it is bittersweet, but I wish everybody well up here. The new board members, the old board members. There's a lot of things, that that you all have to deal with in the really years coming up. So this whole environment of education is changing. You have critical decisions, obviously, with administration, new superintendent. But listen, I have hope for Sachem, and I'm going to remain positive for Sachem. I think there are going to be obstacles financially, and like we said, as far as education, just trying to get our district together for September. But, you know, we're Sachem strong, and if there's anything anyone wants to say about Sachem is that we have passion. We really do. And I think we've made a lot of progress in the past couple of years. And I think if we keep that momentum, everybody puts their differences aside, we work together, put the students first. And I think Sachem is going to come out even stronger. So thank you, everybody, and I wish you all very,
Thank
wish you
you.
luck.
And before, congratulations, Mr. O'Keefe, on contract extension. I said that before. All flustered.
Thank you very much.
Camera
Let's hear more. Yeah, thank you very much. Putting me in the position of helping guide the district for however long the period is while you complete your process. I'm very humbled and honored, and I'll certainly do my best in that time for you. I don't want to.
I have faith. Congratulations. And Larry, I've enjoyed working with you for this past year, and I wish you all the best. So good luck to you.